everyone, it's Cassandra, the Joyful Artist, and I thought you might like a little bit of a insight into my artistic process with my latest work, and perhaps you might like to co-create a title for her, for I have not named her yet. Let's see, may need some better light on the subject, and let me just get my trusty ladder. She is really radiant, really, there's lots of beautiful, there's words in here, La Vie en Rose, Think Pink, which is also the title of one of my books. And then I wanted to infuse the painting with lots of light and light language and Venusian energy and flow. And if you saw the earlier video, you will know that this canvas has begun its life under a rain shower. In fact, it was quite a storm. Also, when I was painting, lots of water. And if you've been watching some of the work with Veda Austin and the autists, and how Christ consciousness, how God is in the water, the whole energy of water, the importance of water, how it's just like a diamond light for us. Today I was walking out in nature and I just stopped for a moment and I saw the light, beads of light on the tree, and it was just shimmering exactly like a diamond. And I wanted to get, in fact I can see some of that now in here. And a couple of people who have looked at this painting from a photo have said that they can also see some angels in here. So that's really lovely. I always believe, as Brian Ruttenberg, I really enjoy his work, and he always says not to tell people what to see so much, but to allow them to experience the painting for themselves. But it's definitely inspired by nature and beauty and flow and light and just energy. And the big thing is love. Definitely the love, the whole coming into our heart, which some mystics are now saying the pineal gland, which was once thought only sort of literally to reside in the mind, is actually within the heart. And the heart is the gateway to our consciousness. And we've all been kind of really conditioned not to trust our hearts, to trust our rational mind. I remember when I was studying architecture, I went to design school, and they said that if I didn't learn how to feel, if I didn't stop being over analytical, that I would really struggle as a creator, as a designer, as an artist. It was very, very difficult for me because I was always the girl that said why. When I was sent flowers, I would say, why? Why did you send me flowers? Always analysing, questioning, trying to understand. And I guess that also might come from a bit of a background of a family system where nothing was really as it seemed. And so I was always questioning, always sort of hyper vigilant, always on guard. And so learning to embrace my sort of flow paintings and also to go big. You know, as growing up, I was taught to sort of think small, not to aim too high. I was always told, literally told, why can't you settle for less? And I used to do these tiny paintings, and you know, I love my tiny paintings. Tracy Emin recently shared that she does tiny paintings when she can't get in the vibe or the flow, maybe doesn't feel well enough to paint. So she will still come down to her studio and create. But one of my grand missions was always to paint big pieces. So this piece here, you can see I'm 5'8". This is painting slightly a little bit off the ground, but you can see I haven't measured it yet. I guess I could go and get my measuring stick, but it's way bigger than me. This piece would be really great in a big, large grand hallway, or a room that has, you know, it's got big space, big walls. As we've got a big painting which I created called the Flower Girl, which is in our entrance. So when you come in, there's a big wall and it's right there. And this painting actually is similar in one way but different. This painting is sold to next door to it, so that might also help you think of a name, because they're almost like sister paintings. This painting here is called Palace of the Heart. Let me just get things a little bit straighter for you. So this painting is Palace of the Heart. It's a lot different in energy and vibration, but it still has that energy of flow, lots of cosmic sort of cloudiness, beautiful magentas and violets and lovely, beautiful, those really emerald greens, which I love so much. And so they're two different, they're almost like, one is, if you think like Atlantis, an Atlantis painting, and the other is a softer, but like the Lemuria painting. So let's see if I can't get both of them on camera. Yeah, you see one there, and then this new work here, much softer, much more gentle, which is what I wanted. So in terms of my process, for those of you who love knowing a little bit about artist's process, and while I work quite intuitively, I wanted this painting to embody, I started with the vibration of, I wanted those soft colours. I was feeling like the pinks, there's lavenders, violets, greens, definitely that feeling. A little bit of orangey reds here, but predominantly I wanted it to have that soft sort of pink and blue and greens, and you can see pops also of yellow through here. So yeah, I began with that, and underneath it there was lots of layers. People often say, how long does it take? And this painting has had many iterations. It's taken quite some time to finish. And then I always say, people say, how do you know if the painting is finished? And well, you know it in your heart. I studied with Max Gimlet. I was lucky enough to win an art prize, and I used the money and I went with him and studied in Maui with him. And we became very good friends, and he wrote the foreword in my book, which is called Happy at Work. All around sort of midlife is your time to embrace your purpose, really, your joy, your dreams that you had as a child. And he said to me, I said, how do you know if the painting's finished? And he said, the painting will tell you. You'll know it in your heart. And as I look at, as I record this video and I look at it and I look at some of the feedback people have given me, I feel that it is finished. What you don't want to do is overwork painting, because then it becomes very analytical, and it takes away the spontaneity. Helen Frankenthaler. So the other thing, when I was preparing to paint this painting, I was thinking of the artists that I just love so much for their courage, their emotions, their depth, their journey with things that they've struggled with. So I think of Helen Frankenthaler, whose mother took her life, and she lost her father young, and she struggled a lot with depression herself, and a lot of criticism for her beautiful flow paintings. But she would always say, she'd stand back and say, is it beautiful? That was the most important thing to her. She wanted to know that she created a painting that was beautiful. So yeah, and I think this painting, well, one of my friends, a beautiful Dutch lady, she left me a comment. She said, wow, that's so beautiful. And I thought, wow, okay, great. And that's really important to me. So yeah, I thought of Helen Frankenthaler, then I thought of Mark Rothko. And if you know Mark Rothko's work, you know he painted a sort of colour field painting, more rectangular, washes of different colours, juxtapositioning against each other, very spiritual and transcendent, which is what I also wanted to create with this painting. I want it to kind of just sit there and be like a prayer or a meditation in people's homes, to be like a comfort to them. Paintings are my comfort. I often, if I take a painting away and have a blank wall, it feels really lonely. I miss it. And in fact, a funny story that I'll tell you today, I once had a painting, it's called Lots of Love, and I had it hanging in my favourite hairdresser here in Kerikeri, and it had been there for quite a while and nobody seemed to be interested. It wasn't expensive, it was about that big, and I took it away. The hairdresser wasn't in it the day, and I said to the lady on reception, look, you know, I've got someone who might be interested in it. And I took it away, and the lady didn't pass it on to the owner of the business. And so when she came in, she thought, oh, someone's stolen it. And she was telling me this today, and she said she had a heart attack because she would look up there and there's this blank space where the painting was, and she really missed it. And then she was frightened because she's had all these people stealing from her, and she thought, oh my gosh, the painting, someone's stolen it. And I just had an intuition today. I thought, I was going to the hairdresser and I thought, you know what, I'm going to gift her that painting. I'm not going to try and sell it. I'm going to gift it to her. And I didn't know how much she had missed it. You know, I didn't even know I thought maybe she won't miss it. Maybe she doesn't like it. Maybe it's just hung there for so long. And it was just amazing. She was so thrilled. And yeah, it's so beautiful. And beneath it is a lovely heart thing that says something about, it's nothing so important as a good friend and to be a good friend. And she had given that to somebody else, and when that person passed, died, the family gave it back to her. So it was kind of like I took the painting away and now I've gifted it to her. I've gifted many paintings to people over the times. One of them, Te Ataroa, to a young family who they had lost their daughter through a stillbirth, and it was a large painting, and I had been inspired to paint it after hearing the story of them, and I imagined the baby girl, their new daughter was called Te Ataroa, which means the long morning, the beautiful morning, and I imagined her sister shining down from heaven. And it was very mystical and beautiful, and I just knew it was meant for them, and they couldn't have afforded it, and I gave it to them, and I'm happy I can do that. It felt really good. It's really good to give, you know, it's really lovely to give. And then, you know, today my beautiful friend gave me a rose, a scented rose, and it was so beautiful, and it made me think, I'll come down to the studio. I left this painting overnight, and I wanted to see what the water did. It was really, really raining really, really hard when I painted it, and it was fun and fluid. And often this painting has been painted on the floor, but today I thought, yesterday I thought, I'm going to put more layers in and I'm going to paint it upright, and I'm really, really happy with the result. So next thing will be to stretch it. That is an art, to take a big canvas and stretch it yourself onto stretcher bars. You know, when it's so long, it's probably a couple of people job actually, or maybe this will be the sort of painting, well, who knows, it might sell. Like my last large painting sold to a collector in the US through Saatchi Art, and it was called a crazy little thing called Love, and it was really big. And we rolled it up into a tube. So those of you watching who might love some of my work, well, we roll it so carefully up into a tube and package it really well, and then it just ships in the tube, a lot more cost effective than shipping it already framed. And then people just go to their local framer who just stretch it on stretcher bars support system, or they put a lovely frame around it. Like the gentleman who bought Palace of the Heart has also bought 2 of my giant beeswax, and they're so beautifully framed with, I think it's Australian ash. They just look really, really amazing, very much like the framing that you would see in the 60s, and that I love so much. So I think that's all I really wanted to say today. I just wanted to share a little bit of the inspiration, a little bit of the joy. That's what I like to do, share some joy, share some beauty. Somebody recently said, it's like people have given up on beauty, or they're not hearing about beauty enough. It's all so, you can feel like it's just dark clouds everywhere, and fear-mongering and division and all these dreadful, dreadful wars. And so part of this painting was I wanted to create a painting that was about love and peace and harmony togetherness and love, you know, making love, not war. I wanted it to be a painting of hope and something that will really, you know, affect our consciousness. Every time you look at it, you'll feel this beautiful, beautiful love. It's inspired also by the Rococo period, and it was a lot of sort of moving away from the dark times into this sort of pleasure and leisure and nature and what they call bibliophilia, which is the love of nature, which I love so much. And yeah, just allowing yourself to have some pleasure and fun and beauty. So if this work speaks to your heart, it may well be available for sale, who knows? But I welcome your comments. I welcome your inquiries. If you're watching this on YouTube and you love hearing these sort of background stories and you want more uplifting content, then help my channel to grow, and like and subscribe and comment, you know, mention if you think it's beautiful, put beautiful in the comments. Anyway, I thank you for watching, I thank you for being here, and I thank you for encouraging me to show up for joy. Thank you.